Alright, let's do this. So I decided to make a deck list video on one of my favorite decks to play. I'll do some for my other ones. So this one is my Trostani deck. So that's my commander there, Trostani, Celestia's Voice. It is I want this right there. It is a Squirrel tribal deck. So I pulled out the basic lands. It's gonna set these here for your viewing pleasure. Alright. Specialty land base, let's get to it. Got the command tower, the Celestia Sanctuary, Blossoming Sands, the Guild Gate, and the Bastion. The rest of it's all just basics because there's stuff in here that'll pull out basic lands. So I can definitely get to more of it if I have basic lands in there versus non-basic. So that's why there's not very much in terms of multi-purpose lands. Plus, as a two-color deck, it really doesn't need that much land fixing, especially if it's predominantly green spell base. So I really don't even need that many planes. All right, moving on. We got our two planeswalkers here. We got Nissa Shaking the World and Johnny the Great Hearted. So Nissa, obviously, for her land effects, getting me more lands, buffing up my lands, making them, if I can get her emblem off, that's fantastic. Johnny here, buffing my creatures, making them stronger, gaining me life. The life gain in this deck is through the roof because of her. Because I could easily get, in a turn, several 7/7s, 8/8s coming down onto the field because of these guys. These guys are the best. Alright, enchantment auras. There's only a couple. Yeah. I got the Druid's Call and the Squirrel Nest. Both are meant to just start generating squirrels. There's an equipment, or there's an artifact. It's an artifact? There's an artifact in here that lets me just tap it to do a damage, and then the controller gets a squirrel. So I put that on one of my creatures. I ping that creature for 1 damage. I get at least 2 squirrel tokens out of it. We'll get to where I get more in a second here. Enchantments, looking at the Lumithread Field, Cathar's Crusade, Path of Bravery, Beastmaster Ascension, Marshal's Anthem, Radiant Destiny. No, those are regular enchantments. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Anointed Procession, Leyline of Sanctity, Path of Discovery, Collective Blessing, Glorious Anthem, Leyline of Vitality, Gaia's Anthem, Growing Ranks, Parallel Lives, Primal Vigor, Dictate of Heliod, Honden of Life's Web, Honden of Cleansing Fire. So, the theme with the enchantments, they do one of two things. They buff up all creatures, or all creatures of a chosen type for I think one of those, or they gain me life, or, so one of 3 things, because I forgot those 2 are designed to gain me life. But that one makes tokens, yes, but those tokens gain me life. Parallel Lives, Primal Vigor. Eventually I'll get a doubling season once I can afford one. Whew, that'll be a bit. But just to make sure that I am creating as many squirrels as I can per turn. So there have been games where every turn I'm getting at least 5 to 7 squirrels. Just based on what's on the board. And yeah, it makes for a really, really fun time when you just whittle down the squirrels and then just more come out. And those squirrels, because of all those enchantments that are buffing them, they are buff squirrels. I mean just buff, beefy squirrels. we're talking squirrels coming out to the field is 8/8s to 10/10s. Like, enchantment artifacts, we got the Bow of Nylea and the Spear of Heliod. Again, beefing up my creatures, giving me some battle tricks to deal with, giving my attacking creatures death touch. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you want to block all my squirrels? Guess what? It's going to cost you dearly. Artifacts, we got the Mangara's Tone, the Mana Geode, the Celestia Signet, the Celestia Arachnet, the Celestia Cluestone, Obelisk of Erd, the Mind's Eye, the Icon of Ancestry, the Vanquisher's Bannon, the Leonin Sun Standard, the Thaumatic Compass, the Journeyer's Kite, the Gilded Lotus, the Endless Atlas, the Conjurer's Closet, the Acorn Catapult, that's the one that you deal damage and make a bunch of squirrels off of it, the Throne of the God Pharaoh, Coat of Arms, Immortal Sun, Arcane Encyclopedia, Celestia Keyrone, a Soul Ring, an Elixir of Immortality, that's in every single deck, and the Diviner's Wand. Again, the theme here is these are either allowing me to draw extra cards, because you don't want a top deck, and you want to have more access to your deck, if at all possible. They're buffing up my creatures, specifically squirrels, or they're getting me life and allowing me to get things back that got destroyed. That is a mean card. It shuts down planeswalkers, but just the amount of stuff it does is just ridiculous. Sorceries, don't have much. So I just have the 4. So I got Acorn Harvest, so I can get some more squirrels. It does have a flashback. I'm always torn if I want to use the flashback ability or if I want to try to wait till like an Elixir of Immortality get back into my deck. I usually end up going for the flashback because it's pretty cheap. Got Cultivate, so I can get more lands out. Wake the Reflections, just so I can just one turn populate, create an extra squirrel. That's the one card I'd probably, since I don't have enough stuff in there to recurrently like get stuff back out, I might switch, but it's actually been really useful. If I just needed one more creature, I just need to get a little bit more life. And then Boundless Realms, where again, I think it's the one where you double your lands. Yeah, you get up to X basic lands, where X is the number of lands you control, and then put them onto the battlefield tapped. So you just double the number of lands that you have. Instants, I do a little bit more. So you got Harrow, more landfall. Folk Medicine, great combat trick for if you just are about to die, even though you have a field of squirrels and you want to just increase that life amount. Druid's Deliverance, obviously. Rootborn Defenses. You can populate and protect your creatures for that turn. So if they're swinging all out, you just pop out an extra blocker and make all of your blockers indestructible. And then suddenly, this is a lot more one-sided than I had intended with this swing. You got Sundering Growth, for if there's just something on the field keeping you down. Fog, obviously. Pledge of Unity. Beefs up your squirrels, gains you extra life. It's pretty sweet. Especially the life gain. Like I said, the life gain in this deck just gets bonkers out of control. Now, we get to the creatures. You might be able to see it. You might know what that is. My playgroup allowed me to put in, of course, the Earl of Squirrel. He has Squirrel Link. He's a little bit busted for this deck because the amount of squirrels I can get with him, because he gets buffed up as well, so he's beefy, and then I I block something with him, and suddenly I have 16 extra squirrels on the field, 32 if I have something doubling the number of tokens. So it's very nice of them to let me put it in. But the deck's very gimmicky. And honestly, there's not enough stuff that makes squirrel tokens. Let me just say that. There is not enough cards in Magic the Gathering that produce squirrel tokens. There have been games where I have just been setting up my board. I have these giant creatures. Out of the sanctity of my beliefs, I refuse to swing with anything other than squirrels. So they just sit there as blockers until I can start building my squirrels up. Because that is the theme of this deck. So there have been games where I'm just sitting on these massive creatures because I have like 1 million buffs. 5 of those buffs I declared squirrels, and I don't even have any squirrels. So there's very little that can make squirrels. So having him is kind of essential. You got Liege of the Hollows. He's great with Conjurer's Closet. Or no. No. He's great because I will make... Sorry, I was thinking of somebody else. I will make deals with my opponents. Be like, hey, I'm going to swing at you with this. I want you to block it. We both have open mana, so we're both getting squirrels out of this. And it is just the peak of diplomacy when it's like, hey, I'm swinging at you with this because I want you to block and kill it. So we both get squirrels out of this. And then they take up the deal. Or you say, hey, I need you to swing at me with that. I promise I'm not going to attack you. I want to make squirrels. Deep Forest Hermit, that's the one I was looking at that card when I pulled that one. He's the one that Conjurer's Closet's in there for. So he's vanishing 3, but Conjurer's Closet negates that. When he enters the battlefield, you get 4 squirrel tokens. And he beefs up your squirrels. Bounce with Conjurer's Closet. Every turn. More squirrel tokens. 4, 8, 16, or 32, depending on the number of enchantments I have on the battlefield that are doubling the number of tokens I'm creating. So just every turn, just refreshing my army of squirrels. And he's beefing the squirrels up too. Kong Ming, Sleeping Dragon, for that additional creature buff on the body. Deranged Hermit, similar to the Deep Forest Hermit. He's a little bit more costly. I'm also willing to bounce him so I get more squirrel tokens, but then I lock down 5 I lock down 5 mana for the rest of the game, basically. 5 mana is just creating squirrels every turn. It's also Werewolf Blood to further beef up my squirrels. Squirrel Mob. There was one game I played, and I ended up with like 30-something squirrels. And they're all beefed up to like, I think, 11/11 at that point. And they had Vigilance. And then I pulled him out and put him out. So he was like... Oh, they had Trample too. So I swung out that turn. He killed one opponent by himself. And then like the squirrels were divided between the rest of the players. And it was nuts. He's also one of the few squirrel spells, like actual creature spells that are squirrels that there are in Magic that I have in this deck. Got Hixus Prison Warden. So he's pretty good if you have a bunch of stuff swing at you. You just pop him out, and or if you just need to get rid of something. Got the Squirrel Wrangler. Again, for more squirrels. He works great with Elixir of Immortality, and you're already pulling so many lands out from the other stuff in the deck that what you end up doing is you're sacrificing lands, yes, but you're pulling out so many lands you can handle it. And then you add Elixir of Immortality, so you just shuffle them back. More squirrel ammo. Basically, every land, it turns drawing a land, which is normally a dead draw late game, into, oh, more squirrels. I drew more squirrels. Trostani Discordant. creature buff, and just to help stop people from stealing my squirrels, stealing my, well, not the squirrel tokens, but this stealing the stuff generating the squirrels, or the stuff buffing the squirrels. I like that ability. Elish Norn, because of course, she is just such a great card. She is such a great card. I love the effect that she has, where it's like, okay, most of your field is now dead, and on top of that, my field's now even stronger, and I have at least 4/7 out on the board now. So I remember a game once where almost every card is going to trigger an anecdote, but there's only 2 cards, so don't worry. We're almost done. My friend was playing this stupid sliver deck, and he had this combo out that was just generating him an infinite amount of mana that he could use to produce more sliver tokens because it's Sliver Queen or something. And but they didn't have haste. So we were like, all right, you just need to name a number, and that's the number of sliver tokens you have. So he's like, all right, I'm going to get 1,000,000 sliver tokens. And we were looking at him like, oh boy, all right, he's got 1,000,000 sliver tokens. What are we going to do? I had Elish Norn in my hand, so I knew what we were going to do. So he was the player right after me. So the next 2 players went, and I kept being like, hey, do you have anything that can answer this? Do you have a solution to this problem? Because that's a problem. Like, he's winning next turn, unless you think you can block 1,000,000 creatures. Just to see if anybody else had something that they could do, so I could hold on to that as a reserve for later, just in case. But then no one had an answer, so it came to me, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll play this. So I popped her out. It destroyed his entire board. His board was gone other than 3 creatures. And then everyone else's was pretty heavily reduced as well. So I swung out at him, got him down to easily killable range. Didn't quite knock him out. Because I prefer to knock out multiple people at once if I can. I don't like to just knock out one person. Because you never know how long the rest of the game's going to go. And, it's just tabletop magic. So it would just be him sitting for maybe 20 minutes, maybe a half hour, maybe an hour, maybe an 8-hour game once. So it's just not fun if you just knock one person out early on. So I prefer to just get them in easily killable range where once I want to, I can. But yeah, she does not last long on the board when she hits. If you can't protect her, she is going to be gone within 2 turns. Almost guaranteed. Then I got Karametric God of Harvests. Again, extra landfall abilities. Don't ever use her to swing as a creature. And then the Good Fortune Unicorn. That's actually super useful because then all my Squirrel tokens are coming in automatically beefed up with some +1/+1 counters. And even if they blow up all of my stuff, buffing everything else, they're still a little bit beefier. Because there have been games where just my board just kept getting ravaged. My friend was playing a Reaper King deck with, so it was a Scarecrow, Changeling Tribal with a little bit of Elemental thrown in, specifically for the Risen Reef guy. And so every turn he was getting 2 or 3 triggers of his commander, and he had the thing out that made everything trigger twice, so he was getting to kill 4 to 6 cards every time he would play his turn. He'd just destroy 4 to 6 cards on the field. It was so annoying. And yeah, it was just nasty. I ended up losing, but I held out for so long. He destroyed, so he was down to, I think he had the ability to get 5 more triggers, and I got rid of the thing that was causing him to double it, so he was going to be able to get 5 more triggers, and that was it. That was the number of creatures he had left in his deck. And then he finally whittled me. That was the 8-hour game. And that is why that game was 8 hours. Is because I was getting so much stuff that was drawing me extra cards. And so, like, my turn, I'm just constantly rebuilding my board, making my stuff bigger again, getting more tokens out, getting more creatures out. And he just kept destroying everything, destroying my lands, and I was just getting more and more land. Like, it was a war. It was a literal war of attrition. And the other two because there was two other players, by the way. They did nothing the whole game. They didn't get a chance to do anything. Because they couldn't touch me and they couldn't touch him. Because they would have just lost what they were trying to swing with. So they had to just sit there and occasionally play an extra spell. And that was it. They couldn't do anything else. So it was a miserable game. It was not... I think at the end of it, if I recall, I think I gave up. I think I had a thing in my hand, right? There was a play, I could have blocked enough that I could have lasted an extra turn. And I just didn't want to. Because I was pretty sure there wasn't anything I could have pulled that would have made... Because I had him down to like 8 life or something like that. So I just needed to like... I needed to get a large enough board to block his stuff. And I was up to like 180 life at one point. Like, he whittled me down from that. That was the other thing. That was the other part of the attrition. Was like, as much as he was destroying, like, I was just constantly regaining life. I think my commander, the last time I played her, I think, because she normally costs 4. And commander, you know, when she dies or gets exiled, she costs an extra 2 every time. And I think the last time I played her in that game, it was like 16. It was worth it to play her. Because, like, he just kept trying to get rid of her because just the amount of life I kept gaining. Like, no one could do more damage to me than I could gain back in the next turn of life. So I just kept netting more and more life. And that was if they, like, swung all out and they'd lose stuff out of it. So, like, no one else was going to win from that other than him. Like, his deck was the only thing that could stop me. And it stalled me, and it just stalled so long. He spent so much time just blowing up my board. It was so horrible. Memories. All right, but that is the Squirrel deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Squirrel deck and anecdotes, you know, a little bit of fun here. So just thought I'd try this out, see how it works. Just tell me what you guys think. Thank you. Bye.